Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new format, a weekly digital Foundry Direct, where we're going to be talking about the week's news, the projects that we're working on, and we're also going to be fielding a bunch of questions from our Patreon supporters on the Digital Foundry supporter program. So yeah, something we hope to be running each and every week on Monday, something for you to look forward to. And maybe, just maybe, our Patreon supporters will get to see this show a couple of days early.
So that was pretty funny. He's a very nice man.
I can imagine.
Before you go on, Aldi, if the second game is Bubsy the Bobcat, I'm calling the police.
No, unfortunately, that was the game that made me the man I am. But in terms of realizing...
Wait, you're a big fan of War Gods?
No.
All right.
I have played it, and it was an interesting time.
I'll tell you what, though, that Rise of the Robots, awesome.
All right. Not everyone. The absolute range, because obviously you can show the upper bounds easy enough. Just look at the sky and get your pixel test there. And you can have a very, very good shot at getting your lower bounds. Just find a stressful scene, and there it is. Usually,
the Series X version is clearer than the Series S version.
Yeah.
I think the other thing though is
just that count here. So the first one is obviously the one that we're all thinking about: Thunder in Paradise on Super Nintendo.
Of course,
that should never have been canceled.
Xbox wireless controller. I want to talk about Rainbow Six Siege because and DF Retro Play, that you recorded one yesterday, right? That's going to be going out pretty soon.
Yeah, we did Power Blade.
That
was a fun one.
Power Blade. Awesome. On to the final question, which is quite interesting because it appears to have come out of nowhere. And being the final question, I detect the dread hand of Audie Surley. Apparently, Alfred Ortiz.
If that is a real person at all.
If that is, a real person. When do you think we will see a fully path-traced Crazy Frog game with the annoying thing properly realised on PC? Well, Alex, you're the ray tracing expert.
I mean, people are path tracing or ray tracing San Andreas and other games.
Exactly.
We just need to mod that original Crazy Frog from what year did that come out? 2000 something?
Mid-2000s.
Well, it's kind of been lost in the mists of time, and rightfully so. But I don't consider those game-changing features.
No.
Yeah, and speaking of game-changing, a game-changing question here from Bob Dutch, which I suspect is a pseudonym for our producer. Which Bubsy game is Rich's favourite? There are no favourites because they're all awful. The first one, this is the thing. The first one was hyped so heavily. I was there. I was working on a Mega Drive mag at the time. It was hyped so heavily. It was going to be the new Sonic. It was going to be, absolutely massive. Bubsy was everywhere. The game came in and it was, adequate, sort of Chester Cheetah, Too Cool to Fall, Cool Spot level, not the sort of Sonic or Super Mario killer. And I suspect I'm taking this question way too seriously, and Audie is chuckling away to himself as he edits this.
Others?
Yeah.
So if you go on I showed it once in the video on the taiga map, which is like this outdoor section with all these kind of trees and things like that. There's indoor sections of the taiga map where you're in these little like huts, and light can go inside the hut and then go outside again through tiny little openings. This is terrible for ray tracing hardware, by the way. It's like the worst thing you can do. And there, like the GPU utilization skyrockets, like the 3090 is like baking inside the PC. I really do wonder how the dynamic resolution will cope on something like a console game and something like that instance. Like if it will start like dropping really, really low. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think 60 FPS is doable primarily on the GPU side. CPUs...
It's a cool game. It has a bit of a learning curve for sure with that Mortal Shell system, but I see the appeal.
Yeah. Yeah. Weirdly, the nearest touchstone I can think of in terms of the visual aesthetic is... remember that Monty Python sketch with the knights who say knee?
Yeah,
oh, yes.
It's like that forest.
Who could forget?
the black forest, the misty forests, and the tall helmets. And
It's exactly
bring me
that.
a shrubbery.
I hope they make a special appearance somewhere in there. The problem is you only have like 667 gigabytes of storage on the SSD, the internal drive. And that fills up very quick with some of these games. So if you want to leave a few games on there that you might need it for a future video, it's kind of a problem because thus far we pretty much just have to delete them and re-download, which is kind of a pain. I mean, I don't have a super fast connection like some people do. It's 100 megabits down, so it's not the best. And yeah, just being able to offload these over to an SSD is a big deal. And I think you actually... today you tested this, so we'll have some numbers on that as well in terms of how long it takes.
Yeah, well, this has just been a massive problem for me too, and my somewhat nuclear solution was when funds and indeed availability allowed, I got a PlayStation 5 digital, which is, just an insane solution to what is a problem that should have been sorted at launch. But that effectively doubled my available storage for PlayStation 5.
Wait, I love it. So you bought a second PS5 just to double your storage. Maybe there's a story reason and you play as like Agent 48 or something, and you're like...
It's like seeing Mr. B and that's it, man.
Rowan Atkinson.
Come! Get out of there! Get out of the...
Exactly. That would be great.
That'd be a really huge win for any of the console manufacturers if they'd be interested in it, because
I
don't
really
see it ever
see them
happening.
wanting that to
It's
happen.
not curated.
They want to get you playing on their or their service no matter what platform you're on. Sony, on the other hand, while they are releasing some PC games, I think it's pretty clear that they're still very invested in their own platform, like Nintendo. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Rich?
Well, first of all, I've got to put my hand up and say I put this question in just to wind you up, John. Sorry. If there's a question with streaming in it, it stands a pretty good chance of getting into the lineup.
So now there's going to be like a new art process for Render 96 in time. This is just like the blooming stage. There's going to be so much beautiful things coming out of it. And then when you read about other stuff online that, Ocarina of Time has been decompiled, you go, oh, wow, what could we see there, Okay, final discussion point.
Wait. Before that, though, big question.
Yeah.
Is our ray tracing worth it?
Oh, yeah. We might as well just talk about this really quickly.
Because the original Xbox is a really interesting machine. And it had a surprising amount of Japanese developed games as well. So it's a fascinating time.
I have to wonder, actually. I mean, I do think that the licensing issues are basically related to digital licensing, the concept of moving existing content onto a new format that wasn't originally envisaged. So, I'm wondering how bespoke, there it is again, to individual titles the emulator layer is, and whether they could just, throw open the emulator to work with disk-based games. Very curious about that.
That would be cool, but I think it's because they have to download something
right
that makes it tricky. It's not just running from the disc.
Yeah. Good
So
point.
unfortunately, I feel like the concept of love is not compatible with the concept of licensing. So.
Yeah, like think about playing Mech Assault.
You know, characters can look a little odd because of just the original designs. Like there's a scene when you land on Eden Prime, and like all these aliens are like taking this one of your soldiers, and he's like being held on a spike, and his face as that happens, we've got it in a zoomer across all consoles, and it's not a face of pain or anything.
It's just pretty awkward.
It is
looking,
meme worthy.
but,
I've got to admit, it's very meme worthy. Fixated on this concept of lamenting. It just reminded me of Conan. Crush your enemy, crush your enemies. See them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the CRTs.
Oh, and I believe we are joined right now from location in Brighton. Is it?
No.
Oh.
We bit off a little
I'm
too
a
much.
product of divorce, so I'm used to being punted around to whoever wants me. Answer is no one. Anyways,
Crytek is teasing the release of Crysis 2 Remastered. This doesn't come as a surprise to many people, I think, probably because there was this whole Crytek leak earlier in the year, unfortunately for them, that gave out the fact that Crysis 2 Remastered was in the works at some point, and probably Crysis 3 Remastered.
weren't you at their office earlier this?
I was at their office in September for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, we were there like a few months ago.
Seems highly suspicious, Batalia.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, you just learn things, and sometimes you don't. But yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes you want to put them all over the internet.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to type some
Not that
things
I'm
in.
pointing fingers, Alex. I'm sure you're entirely blameless for this entire situation.
I've done nothing.
I'll Photoshop a copy of your NDA on screen right now just to make sure we're legally covered.
Yeah, we're good.
With a kind of void stamp.
Yes. Seeing that Steam, or Valve rather, is releasing perhaps something called a Steam PAL, which I can only assume converts all your games to the PAL format and runs at 50 hertz, right?
With letterbox.
PlayStation 3 System Software Update version 4.88. That's right, it happened. What do you think about this, Chad?
Chad Warren's been looking at the games, right? Chad Warren all about games. Chad Warren just likes a system that's the best, right?
Can't argue with that. I agree. He just wants the best. I mean, don't we all?
Well, I do
Actually,
I do wonder about this whole PS5 cross-gen thing, whether it falls into his ABAP philosophy,
I don't know.
where games have to be as balling as possible.
I don't even know.
ABAP.
ABAP.
But also joining us, of course, looking rather sexy into the bargain, it's Alex Battaglia.
Oh, I feel that.
Maybe hold on a minute. Yeah, we've moved on from like the crazy dark naming conventions. It used to be GPUs, and now it's mice.
It's mice.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, a mouse is a simple interface. It's a kind of, even the name. It's a mouse. It's not in any way threatening. But yours is called.
I used to have a one.
Death Adder.
I had one that was called the Black Mamba.
Mamba, yeah.
That's one thing, but Nintendo, come on. I mean, make the game 10 by 9 like it's supposed to be.
What do you really know about how the Game Boy works, though?
I know what a good aspect ratio looks like.
Let's talk about the Gearbox showcase.
Go on.
All right, what do you want to talk about? Where do we want to start?
All done. Next, we'll talk about Capcom.
Well, do you like esports? I don't know if it's outright canceled. Nintendo don't seem to really want to say anything about it. But I don't think we're going to see Bayonetta 3 anytime soon.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of my takeaway from Babylon. So I want to hear what you guys thought, though. I'm curious.
Oh, it sucks. Just, there's nothing more to say about it.
I'm sitting here trying I'm trying to be, polite as I can about a game that I felt very disappointed about.
If you spend like $300 on Cameo, I'm sure Jonathan Frakes can tell just you what happened.
Wait, are you saying he's on Cameo?
He's on Cameo, of course he is.
What?
Everyone. The only person not on Cameo is you. Clamoring to that OnlyFans dream of yours, and you have 1 subscriber.
Wow. That's just phenomenal. I don't know where the possibilities are endless.
It's time to make a new DF introduction.
It's a new DF member. We'll just pay Jonathan Frakes like every Thursday to join this panel. But second of all, the mismatch in hitboxes between the old version and new in the swimming stages or the swimming segments was so bad that I actually turned the game off.
It was so bad that Alex turned into a chair. I mean, it's just that's what happens. So, and they did that back then too. So they made a lot of really expensive CRTs back in the day that also kind of focused on the design aspect. So they're pretty nice looking devices, and Audi's still hunting one because they actually did release a model that has a built-in CDI player, which is certainly something. But yeah, unfortunately.
This week, recently on Steam, I believe, all of the listings for the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, all the Steam pages were put out, and there was a variety of screenshots released for each of the remasters, and a lot of controversy surrounding them. And I think John's one of all of us who've been following it most closely. So what is the controversy here, John?
It creates this mismatch that's inauthentic and it looks kind of ugly. That's exactly what we have here. So like in some of these shots, you'll have the background art that's one resolution. Then you have the text box itself, which still is rendered in a way that looks like pixel art, but it's higher resolution than the game itself.
I can't stand that.
So
I
that's
just literally
weird.
can't stand that.
But then you have the fonts that are...
Joining me, first of all, Audie Surley.
How's it going, Rich?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, glad you're here.
Are you? Are we starting this broadcast with lies already?
Barefaced lies, yeah. But, as I said before we began, I am enjoying the 90s rapper aesthetic you've brought to the party this time.
Yes, I know. It's amazing what a shower can do. I am looking for a B&O 500, which has a built-in CDI unit in it, which will be
the
my
500.
new main
I actually can't remember
TV
what the number is,
forward.
but it's one of those. It's like an MX or I don't remember the exact model unit, but yes.
It is a 500, is it?
Maybe.
I think it's something like that.
I always forget. But either way, yes, it has a CDI unit on top, and it's also the only CDI player that doesn't have that stupid battery, the timekeeper chip.
Yeah.
Which I hate that timekeeper.
So it is the ultimate. And it has a motorized thing, so on your remote control, I can angle it wherever I want. And yes, I will be throwing out my ZX when that comes in.
Well, that sounds awesome. I mean, just the concept of a display.
You're coming over, right, to the Retro Grief Cave. Check out some B&O with me. Enjoy my BO.
I just don't know what to say about that. We've said this in the past. When we do have an issue with a game, the first thing we do is tell the PR person involved, and we did that with this. First of all, I wanted a comment, which hasn't come back as of yet, but I'm hoping that something will appear. But secondly, I don't want a Digital Foundry video to appear that criticizes a developer or publisher without them having knowledge that we're going to be doing it. And if we've got something wrong, which is entirely possible, then, they have the right to reply. They have the right to sort of say, hey, hold on, have you tested this? Have you tested that? Can we get some more information from you about your testing? All of this stuff. I mean, MVG actually did a really good, Modern Vintage Game actually did a good video highlighting this issue on Monday. And that was when I was kind of deep into the testing work on this. Now, I could have put the video out on Monday if I'd really pushed it. I really could have easily put it out on Tuesday, but I was kind of hoping that we would get some positive feedback from Capcom to kind of at least present both sides of the story. Hopefully that will happen. I'm still confident that we'll get something from them, but yeah, it's about sort of trying to be as balanced as possible, but it was really difficult in this situation because There's just red flags all over the place here, and PC users don't deserve this. Fundamentally, if you're investing so much in your game's hardware, you expect to get the performance out of it. I mean, the concept that the game could be running at over 100 frames per second, and then some flies appear and you're down to 30, 40. That's ridiculous. It's from Capcom. Yeah, a hushed roll, please. Hey, Richard, good morning. A quick follow-up. The team are working on a patch to address PC performance issues. That's it. That's Digital Foundry Direct Weekly, number 20.
Old games used to have mirrors. And then it feels like with the rise of SSR and other techniques, they just like, you know what, we can't do that anymore. We're not going to bother. And I actually understand, because with the complexity of modern rendering, mirrors are a much more difficult problem to solve. But it still feels like a step down.
Yeah, but it is, when a game like Hitman 2 or 3 comes along where the mirrors do actually work, it's like, whoa,
it feels like a revelation.
This is like next level stuff, when in actual fact, it's a mirror.
We have the fresh and crispy Richard Ledbetter.
I honestly don't know what to say about that introduction. You could possibly invert it and it would be true.
Crispy and fresh? Well, I guess I could call you Scrooge.
Yes, you could. I noticed you've been reading my back catalogue recently.
Oh, I keep tabs, my friend. I keep tabs.
Prior existing Ledbetter approved IP is what I hear.
I have the Mean Machines issue to
That's right.
It.
Okay, yeah.
On screen right now.
Well, I do like the way you sort of dig out 28-year-old reviews
Rich,
that I may not have written in the first place.
For every occasion, I have a folder that's just called Rich.
Yeah, it's kind of sinister.
Happy
really.
Rich, sad Rich, enticed Rich, angry Rich. Angry Rich is the most full folder. That's 32 gigabytes.
Oh, right. That's right. That's always the trick with editing, is you kind of got to talk long enough during the introduction so you can do that. And then
you
cut to the
talk
next
too
person.
long now.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome. So care is in the product, but it's definitely technically lagging behind a bit. But there's always ways to fix that, I think. And perhaps they will very soon. Well, that was awkward.
Well, we were waiting for you to cut to the
We were waiting for you to hum the battle theme. That's the conclusion. Rich, come on, give me the harmony.
I've honestly, I don't have any. I didn't play these games to begin with, so I'm just kind of baffled.
Can I offer my completely uneducated guess? We're going to all get emails in 2 months.
That's all I do.
We're going to get... If you were ever forced to cosplay to attend a conference, which gaming character would you dress as? And you have to do this. You cannot skip this conference.
Wow. Are you aware of any character that dresses like me? That would be the easiest.
Cosplaying
solution.
is going out of your comfort zone. Cosplay is not dress up like you're working at Starbucks.
But what if there is no comfort zone?
You're just never coming.
All right, well, I look forward to Audie slapping on an outfit for you since you didn't choose one yourself.
Oh, I have to choose for you. And I guess you'll only find out after this goes up on YouTube and cannot be taken down again.
And but nothing apart from this text was being generated in real time, and there was no trailer. And we got a question here from Big Mac 5, which is
Whoa. Big Mac.
I've got to talk actually before we address this question. I was talking on the Slack channel yesterday. We haven't mentioned his question. But what was the name of this guy? We had a question from somebody with the hacker alias of agonizing rectal pain. And you think, okay, this is a joke account, but his question was really actually quite good.
It was very in depth.
Yeah.
Well, Big Mac 5's question first was basically native 1440p or 2160p checkerboard. We'll go to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But the question from agonizing rectal pain. It was a big one, but it was essentially, why aren't you testing input lag in games? And I think that's a valid question. I'm not sure. It was certainly more valid than his username.
I mean, it's all in caps as well, so...
Yes. Patreon emboldens it, and it's in block capitals.
I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve.
As soon as I see agonizing rectal pain on screen... I just went back to the Patreon page, and I think it's Audi basically accused him of picking that name in the hopes that I would read it out loud. And he actually came back with a response. So agonizing rectal pain came back and said, "Lol, no, my apologies. I had considered temporarily changing it for fear of not being taken seriously, to be honest." And he's doubling down. I've had this name since before I subbed to DF.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if the username is used across the internet for all his accounts everywhere, then fair enough.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's just, well, it could be his name in real life.
It could be his real name, yeah. Well,
that's just tremendous.
I guess we could all put on fake British accents and pretend he's here.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Richard Ledbetter, and I have to tell you, I never wear pants for these recordings.
First you go to...
Yes, that's right.
digitalfoundry.net, and, well, Bob's your uncle.
I didn't realize that's the part of
I'm firing you in an instant. Yes, that's instantly fired.
Sorry, Richard.
Oh, sorry, Rich.
You know another series I would love to see come back? Breeding Stud from Konami.
I love horses, best of all the animals. I love horses, they're my friends.
That's right, back in the 90s, Konami made 3 horse simulation games, Breeding Stud, Breeding Stud 2, and Breeding Stud 99. I just discovered them today. I would like to see these just right now while we record. So that's all I have to say about that. I want Breeding Stud 22. I want it. Bring it back, Konami. Come on.
With the latest roster updated.
With the latest roster. I want everything in here. So Breeding Stud 22. That's what we need next year. But for now, let's move on to the next topic.
I'm curious, Rich, like you said, DLSS, this game's not going to be very heavy. So I'm curious if DLSS can be combined with MSAA.
Dude, has that happened before? I don't think so.
No.
I want to see that. I have a question for you.
Right.
Do you love horses?
Do I?
Are they the best of all the animals?
The best of all the animals. Well, obviously the contribution of the horse to human civilization cannot be understated, but the best of all the animals is obviously man's best friend, the dog. And I'm joined here, special guest, completely unannounced, by Digital Foundry. Come on, boy.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Is he in view? There he is.
A little bit low.
Yes, we got him. There he is.
Good boy. Have a little treat.
Oh, he's so
there
cute.
He is.
Okay, so that is truly
that basically answers the question.
The
he is the best of all the animals. He always makes me feel good when things are pretty grim, and he's just got a relentlessly positive outlook. And what can I say? He's a champion. He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
You're a very good boy. He likes to cuddle. He's a little bit camera shy today, but
that's all right.
All right. I would be too.
But I think we do actually have some content to discuss, right, John? Starting with the new DF Retro. So the 3050 Ti in laptop world is shipping with 4 gigs of RAM. It's not enough.
Unacceptable.
It's not enough even for 1080p.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
I do like the idea. Was it you said earlier? Cord draping.
Yeah, cord draping. Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, think about it. You're holding your Switch, and the cord comes out of the top. The cord has to go somewhere. So you kind of have to decide. All right, is it going through your arms? Is it going outside? Is it gonna be like resting on your hand? Like, is it gonna be annoying your left hand or your right hand? Like, I'm
imagining you at a chalkboard planning this out. How do I play the Switch with the cord?
You've got to find the most comfortable position, and so headphone draping is a thing. Whereas, on the older unit, if you play in like a PSP or a Vita, that's not an issue. It comes out the bottom.
What can I say? There's an opportunity here, and I have good news for you. Corddraping.com is available.
Yes.
The domain is available, first year 99p. Corddraping.co.uk.
Maybe we can create a little device that plugs in there, and you can
the possibilities of this one I'm enjoying. You'll be pleased to know that the URL corddraping.live is available. Slightly more expensive at $2.99 for the first year. But just imagine the possibilities there, streaming your cord draping activities.
I'm all the way into that. Including stuff like there's a VR game in there, which takes place in a high school, so you kind of can guess what it's about. But they actually they included the full classroom set from the game with one of the characters in there as well, so you can walk into the set of what's going to be in the game. But just kind of look around, and that's really interesting to see. So it's awesome. They also had but also Alex, they have the sandstorm that was shown off in the trailers. During one of the intro sequences, you actually see that wall of sand approaching you and drive into it, and it's a gorgeous volumetric effect going through there. It fills the whole area in a very convincing manner.
Far Cry 6 is pestering players for not playing enough. And I'm looking at the email that was sent here that's in this Kotaku article. It says, surely you could do better than this. I love that. And then the stats actually sound as though, they've had enough of Far Cry 6, if anything. DF Direct Weekly is available to all supporters on Saturday. You can watch it, you can download it. You can have it as a podcast. It's all pretty awesome. That typically happens on a Saturday. So look, if you're watching DF Direct now on a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever, you could have seen this days ago. Just imagine how this would have enlivened your weekend.
We should send emails to people saying, what are you doing? You could have watched this on a Saturday, Rich.
Yes, surely you could do better than watching it on Monday or Tuesday. And you can by joining the DF supporter program.
We don't really buy on the cover art these days, but I think at the time in the 90s there was so little information about games, or at least you get them through magazines.
So did you buy a game that you thought looked interesting and then fell in love with it?
Yeah, it was in the Mega Drive days. There was one particular game, I don't know if you remember this, Rich, called Balls.
No, I don't remember this.
It rings a bell. It is vaguely ringing a bell.
All right,
I like the name. Sure.
It's Balls spelled with
a Z, right?
That's right, with a Z.
Or a Z, as it should be.
Yeah.
Because let me try and justify myself. The game was a fighter where obviously 3D was the big upcoming thing at the time, and Mega Drive just couldn't pull it off. There were a lot of sort of workaround attempts at making 3D or fake 3D on Mega Drive, and this was one game where they had basically a lot of sprite-based balls, basically making up a character, and they would scale these balls in kind of a way that made it look like a character was in the distance or close to the screen in a very flat textured arena. It was terrible. It was a terrible game, but they pulled off a 3D-ish looking game on the Mega Drive, and I'll always remember that. And that's why I bought it, because on the front cover there was just 3D characters, and it looked cool, and that was all you needed back then in the 90s.
So you were intrigued by balls, that's what you're saying?
Three-dimensional balls, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I am just getting sort of flashbacks to my childhood from all of this sort of innuendo. What I will say is actually at this Intel event for Intel 12th Gen core processors, there was a particular presentation about overclocking where they were basically saying that Intel has got us covered in knobs covered with knobs, rather, which I thought was sort of various tittering going on in the audience at that point. Okay, look, let's move on to the next question.
I feel like an old man. I'm just like, that looks quite impressive, boy. And then I realize I will never play it. So I'm just fascinated that we managed to start off the show with Alex tearing down yet another trailer.
Another game. Another casualty on the list.
Lucky for you, Alex, everyone out there always agrees with you.
Yeah, you're right.
And it will be the same this week.
Of course. Literally just a few seconds ago, I said that literally nothing could stop the chat. And
Lies.
And remember when I said that? That's my Matrix. I lied. Because this week we were basically, I think our YouTube channel was we're laughing about it now. It wasn't funny at the time. Our YouTube channel was hijacked by Russian crypto scammers. Pretending to be Elon Musk. Fans Tech Girl, Tom, what shampoo do you use? It's the burning issue.
Asking all the hard-hitting questions here. Well, conveniently, I did bring it here, having looked at the questions. So we got the Shea Moisture Coconut and Hibiscus Curl and Shine Shampoo.
Hibiscus.
Okay.
If you were, available at all.
But Rich, there's a very important question here for you.
There is a very important question
from Audie Sorley.
Yeah. Rich, what shampoo do you use? Well, whatever's available, really.
This first episode, we actually talked, it was still somewhat game related. We talked about how we got into the games industry and also found our way to Digital Foundry. And there's a lot of good information in there.
But yeah, it was a fun time. We learned a lot about each other, and take a listen to this little sample.
It's more this concept of the casting couch that you mentioned earlier that I'm a bit, but I'm just going to just say I know nothing about this. It's the first I've heard of it.
So there you go. Good information there. To make it easier though, John, I'd just say that you call this In Excess.
In Excess. Oh, I like that. But that's probably enough Hitman. We've hit enough men today. Let's move on to the next topic.
If you want to make your game look tacky and terrible, you can do that with mods, and you don't need to pay extra money for it.
I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. I don't want to be a fly in the wall from inception to completion for every step of development. Because, if you look at something like Horizon Zero Dawn, it was a 6-year process.
Oh, yeah. Imagine being a fly for 6 years.
That's going to be,
so many fly lifetimes.
Long-lived. Yes, it should be. Maybe game development should be measured in fly lifetimes. But yeah,
something is returned.
We have icons in this world, John. We have heroes. We have legends.
We do. We have the dancing baby.
We have the dancing baby, and of course, we have Crazy Frog. And John,
Crazy Frog is back.
He is coming back. I think it's been long enough now without offbeat Eurotrash techno remixes of forgotten classics. And so the world needs Crazy Frog. I think the time is right for him to come back. This news doesn't really list anything about potential video games. We do know, of course, from DF Direct history that Crazy Frog had 2 video games, Crazy Frog Racer and Crazy Frog Racer 2, which I proudly own. So I couldn't be more excited. This is why I'm on the panel today. I'm speechless at the news. I'm just happy for the world right now. We need good news, and this is the news we needed. But I'm curious, Rich, what do you think of this?
Let's move on to the next question from the hilariously named Pimp Kane 3000.
That's going in the reel.
Let's take a look at the updated trailer for Final Fantasy VII Interlude.
I'm gonna say it's a Christmas game to be played with the family. Gather around with all the children and your aunts and grandmas and just play this horrifying Japanese horror game.
I think the best Christmas game is probably still Christmas Crisis for the Philips CDI.
Oh yeah,
John.
No, it's actually not. It's terrible.
It sounds
okay.
terrible.
I was convinced. You sold it to me. It's
horrendous.
It's probably a series of like 2D element screens. What is it, John? Even
it was a 2D platformer. Audie and I did a video on this like a couple of years ago. Christmas Crisis and Christmas Country, both for the CDI. They're both, it's real bad.
To what end did you mercilessly abuse your position of power to secure deals? Which is to say, essentially, what did you buy?
Well, it is an experience. Black Friday is always an experience. Even before we did Deals Foundry, we kind of covered Black Friday in a physical office, in our Brighton office. And that was always like a real war room kind of atmosphere. Everyone kind of hunched around, a couple of desks going, I found a deal on this. All right, show me a deal on that one. All right, get it out. And it was just very different than most of the journalism that we do, which is very much more relaxed and much more about the technology and the process. There, it's just a lot more about deals.
You literally did call it the war room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And
so you literally declared war on Black Friday.
Yes. No, we're declaring war on the customers of Black Friday. And we're assaulting them with the deals.
What? Okay. I thought you were declaring war on high prices.
Oh yeah, that too, definitely.
In combination with a core overclock, it needed the memory. My dog is here and he's just
sneezing. I hear it. Yeah. Sneezy dog.
Come here. He's going to have a new...
Is it a Digital Foundry coming? Oh my God.
Digital Foundry is joining us. No, he's not. He doesn't want to play ball.
Aww.
Stop sneezing.
Not today.
I'm on a direct.
Not today. Anton's work essentially since then was focusing on getting on the real-time ray tracing and hardware up to snuff on NVIDIA side.
And joining us from Berlin, bringing with him a T-shirt from another era, the 90s specifically, it's Alex Battaglia.
Hey, you in the shirt. You can. I'm going to take a separate photo of this and send it to Audie after the fact, but this is actually even brighter than it looks on camera right now.
Have you tone mapped it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it looks actually all right here, but it turns me into like radioactive goo when I wear it. Research example, I'm gonna send this video over to Audie if I can so I can insert it here, where they were showing an Unreal Engine 4 example of the camera moving through a scene as characters are moving, and it was actually applying deep learned motion blur to them. So it wasn't using like the typical motion blur that we see in video games, but a deep learned version of it. And what that is actually doing, motion blur is just interpolating in between real frames and inserting more information. There's nothing stopping them from using that exact same technique and actually having real frames there.
Speaking of preserving, I mean, Rich, you're getting up there in age, and we need to preserve you soon. But do you have any thoughts on this situation?
So I was just savouring Alex's walrus yelping.
Yeah, I know. I can guarantee you we'll probably still be producing DF Retro in 30 years. At the senior
Hopefully.
Center.
Yes.
So be
It'll
sure
be
to check back on Digital Foundry in
moment.
30 years. We'll still be here. Even Rich. So...
I'll be sort of like in a brain in a jar.
Yeah, I'll keep it in my keepsake. It's like I have Gimmick on Famicom and I have Rich preserved in a jar.
Yeah, I've seen somebody play like an MMO like this on a laptop with a cracked screen at like 5 FPS, and they were actually having fun. And I was just like,
right?
They exist on a different plane than I do, and I'm fascinated by this.
Are you talking about Audie there?
No.
Next question. All right, everyone. So before we head into the Q&A for this week, we have a new segment we would like to debut on this special episode. We're going to call this What's in the Box, Rich? Applause, everyone.
I refuse to applaud this.
So the rules of this game is quite simple. There are no rules because it's not a game. Rich actually very generously gave me his home address. to have me send stuff to him. Isn't that right, Rich?
No, John gave it to you.
That's right. Well, we can talk about that with the local authorities later. But I sent you two boxes. I sent you 2 boxes this week with some surprises in them. And we are going to open them up for all of you to watch today.
Yeah, I think a bit of background first. I've been posting on Twitter these, I refer to them as brown packages.
Not just in color.
Surly special.
Well, yeah, the Surly special, and it's put it this way, I now know why my dog barks at the letterbox. Anyway, this is the first one, and
looks interesting. What do you think it is?
Well, it's basically some sort of CD case. What I'm intrigued by is the Royal Mail has classed it as second class large letter. So if I'm not getting a large letter, I'm going to be profoundly disappointed.
Whoa.
But
what if it just says
stop
laughing?
laughing.
Class rubbish.
Well,
the good news is that my trash can is literally within throwing distance.
Well, good to know the logistics of your room. But let's. What do you think it is, though? Let's
open the first special. Shall we?
What's your feeling on this, Rich? What is it?
My feeling is revulsion, despair, disgust. Okay, so here it is.
That's one of the best.
It's actually quite interesting. Crazy Frog Racer.
Oh, it's interesting.
And at the bottom there,
yes,
which is indicative of the overall content, it says featuring the annoying thing.
Yeah, God.
So I've got to ask, have you made a guest appearance in this?
I'll be in the sequel. Why don't you read the back of the box and see what kind of game it is?
Well, I don't really want to, but what I will say is you're getting quite an impressive manual.
Oh,
many pages to it.
That's actually pretty beefy.
Yeah, that's a lot of information in there. Maybe for Patreon, we'll do an exclusive read-through with you.
Dramatic reading.
Dramatic reading of the Crazy Frog Racer manual.
It's going to be, I would suspect, some good toilet reading. So we have the disc here, which is classic
blue.
CD. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Phoenix Games couldn't get it blue.
Gosh.
So, yeah, this is kind of baffling. Ride with the annoying thing, which I am doing week in, week out, in a high-octane riot through cityscapes and underground mayhem.
Yeah.
Blast your opponents, picking up zany power-ups and super boosts.
Of course it's zany.
This is your chance to either... This is your chance to either join the annoying thing
or submit,
or help beat him. The phrase "beat him" is appropriate.
Beat the annoying thing.
Over eight unique characters. So I suspect.
Over 8? Why not the exact number?
It's from the entire Crazy Frog universe. It's amazing.
There's a universe.
The
Okay, so I don't know, 9 unique characters then.
Over 8.
So you're underselling the game on the back of the box, is what you're saying.
Yeah, possibly. 4 different multiplayer modes. This is quite sort of presumptuous, isn't it? It suggests that people will want more than one person, i.e. you, will want to play it.
We're reviewing Crazy Frog live on DF Weekly.
And 12,
how many years in the industry, Rich?
Well, the pinnacle.
it's 30 actually.
Yeah.
31 this year, and in all of those years, I've managed to avoid this nonsense.
Actually, Rich, just really quickly, I think one thing, do you know the date of your first article or first contribution? Because it could align with my birthday.
Thank you for the thumbnail for this video, by the way.
It's kind of it would be around July 1990, Alex.
Okay, so I'm April 1990, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I was still at school then. So anyway, look, Crazy Frog Racer.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, it's the PAL version, so I'm wishing all of the slowdown and letterboxing in the world on you when you eventually play this game.
Do you think that was released in any other territory?
No,
I think it was. I think there is an NTSC version.
No, I don't.
No way.
We'll find out in Rich's mailbox in the future. But Rich, there is another box.
Well, there's another. This is the kind of archetypal brown package that typically.
It's a bar bag.
To be clear, brown package is it's a phrase with many meanings. It works on at least 2 levels.
Most people get like the shivers when they get like a letter from the IRS and stuff, but you get like anxiety when there's a box showing up.
The thing is, my taxes are imperfect.
All right.
This is far worse.
Well, what do you think this is before you open it?
I don't care. Why should I care?
Because it's your show. It's what's in the box, Rich.
It's your show. This was your idea, Rich.
Right.
Don't you remember?
Don't you remember you told me in the middle of the night?
Visited your dreams.
Here we go. What is it?
All I'm gonna say is that it looks as though I've opened the packages in the correct order.
Oh yeah.
So who? Right. Okay. Do you have any? Actually, Alex, we'll start with you. Do you have any guesses on what this?
I guess.
This digital detritus actually is.
It's digital.
No. Well, it's digital in that there are bits on a disc.
Supposedly.
I guess it could be a CDI game. I'm gonna say
no.
Oh no.
At this point, I'd welcome that. It is Crazy Frog Racer
2. Okay, that's what I didn't expect. This is like the post-credit sequence of Crazy Frog.
So, Rich,
the selling points on this are excellent.
Oh.
Because obviously buoyed by the success of the first
Writing that yeah.
Is there a copyright date on that thing?
Well, actually, there are a couple of interesting data points we'll go through. But first of all,
right.
In terms of marketing points, obviously, the phenomenal success of the first one. Obviously, they think that lightning can strike twice because, again, it's featuring the annoying thing. So Audie, they invited you back.
I'm always welcome.
Yeah. Well, in some quarters.
Some quarters.
And but they have added a new selling point to this one. It includes Crazy Frog music.
Oh,
okay.
Oh God!
Wait, does that mean that the first one does not include Crazy Frog music?
I don't know.
All right,
but yeah, you're getting the classic version of Axel F.
Oh yes,
from Crazy Frog.
You should put that in there.
Now, okay, the other interesting data point, right? Okay, the first one is suitable for ages 3 and up. Okay, the sequel, it's a game changer, 7 and up.
Oh, they went dark with this one.
They went
the darkest of the trilogy.
It's like the Revenge of the Sith. Starring
I
Crazy
mean,
Frog.
if you've seen a full body image of the annoying thing, maybe they censored.
Oh yeah, we'll have to pixelate that.
Yeah. That's
well,
true.
You know, put it this way: Peggy, the ratings authority, basically banned this sick film from anyone.
Well, I welcome
aged 7 or rather 6 and lower, and you know, I applaud them for their decision.
Do you think this is a better game, though? Do you think they improved on various aspects, or do you think it's mostly the same?
I can only go by the marketing because I am never, ever
Loading this up.
I will destroy all PlayStation 2s before I load this game.
Wait for the video that we're gonna make in this game.
Join us on Patreon for the 5-part series. Rich plays Crazy Frog Racer.
Okay, well,
or join me at the employment office tomorrow.
It says here the annoying thing is cranking up the speed for his latest and greatest racing adventure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Crazy Frog Racer 2! Exclamation point! Take control of the evil boss drone, the sub drone, the holiday thing.
All right.
Was there
that
another
sad?
thing? There's an annoying thing and there's a holiday thing. Is the holiday thing basically where you are granted blessed relief from
Rich,
exposure?
there's only one way to find out. Let's play the game together.
I just
No.
Okay, the bullet points. Unleash new explosive power-ups onto unsuspecting racers. I kind of know what that feels like. Such as the toxic cloud. Which, you know, this game is a toxic cloud. Oil puddle and flash. Again, massive levels of presumption here. Four new multiplayer battle arenas.
They'll back it up.
For frantic split screen action. Cool new mini games. Wow. I thought they were Stadia exclusive. Crazy pinball and crazy dance. That one's for you, obviously.
Yes.
Race across the popular crazy. Oh my god. I'm taking these people to the advertising standards authority for this. Race across the popular Crazy Frog universe as seen on TV.
Oh no!
As seen on TV. Well, obviously my TV was turned off at the time.
It was a bit.
Made popular. I mean, this is, you know, they've got the word popular twice in the same sentence. Let's just take it from the top. Race across the popular Crazy Frog universe as seen on TV, made popular by video. Made popular by videos such as popcorn. You also, by the way, you get popcorn as part of the musical mix.
Oh god!
Wow.
Wow. We are the champions. So the Crazy Frog was quite prolific.
He ruined everything you liked.
And indeed horrific. So
it doesn't say that. It doesn't say and horrific.
It doesn't need to.
It's stated on the cover.
Let's take a look. Well, the good news is that, you know, that they've saved the world's resources with a much thinner manual, which is good. The disc, it's another
blue one.
Another CD.
Blue one, yeah. Did they pay extra for that?
No. CDs were blue and DVDs were silver.
Yeah, but, you know, would you want to give any level of prestige to this?
I think it would have cost them more to press it on a DVD, so they went for the cheap option.
Right. Okay. I'm kind of wishing that, you know, that the PlayStation supported those mini discs used by the GameCube, just to cut down on the horrific waste of world resources.
That's why we got to the PSP.
Well,
so that's well, you know, thank you for actually making the case for the closure of digital stores, if it means that you don't need to access nonsense like this.
We work on multiple levels here at Digital Foundry. Mostly the lowest level for me. Well, Rich, thank you for partaking in this first episode of many What's in the Box, Rich.
Yeah, I usually hold the dog back from attacking the male. But in this case, all bets are off.
I don't think your dog wants to actually be near those.
You see, what I do have to give you kudos for is that they both arrived on the same day. Presumably from different sellers.
I only pay for the highest shipping.
Right. What, you mean second class?
Yes.
Right, okay. There is a first class, spoilers.
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, price.
Can we put this behind us and move on to something better?
Yeah.
Yes, let's move on to the questions. But thank you so much, Rich.
You'll note I didn't say you're welcome.
Yeah, I noted.